We need to create harmony. But while we're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to create safety, we're actually making really wrong decisions. And if you think of every war is started by a naming of an enemy and focusing people on one enemy. She's saying the more you can touch that joy within your heart, the more you're going to be profoundly oriented, and the more you're going to be more profoundly effective. Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Weather, your mid-month energy check-in. I'm Dany Lyne. I'm an intuitive, and for the last 20 years I've been co-creating wellness and aligned manifestation with folks worldwide, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In this series, I'm going to tap us into the main energy through line so that we can alchemize the expansions and the contractions of the life force into our sacred flow. Join my YouTube channel to get your mid-month energy check-in. So good evening and good morning, and welcome to all of you who are joining us live. Thank you for being here. You're making it possible for a transmission to occur, so I really appreciate it that you're here to co-create the moment. Welcome to all of you who will be joining us in the recording. We are, of course, heading to the major transition, the vernal equinox. So we are moving very gradually from water and toward the wood element. And as mentioned earlier in the transmissions, water was with us in a river form, which was unusual this year. So we've had a lot of movement, a lot of change, a lot of transformation occur internally and externally over the months of the winter, more so than usual. It's been a little bit more vibrant and a little bit more spicy and a little bit more dynamic than usual. So I will be channeling Sri Sri Anandamayi Ma today. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from her exactly where we're at in terms of this transition. And I will be going deeper into the information about the transition to the wood element. I will be filming another free-for-all for the Elemental Seasons series. And so I will be channeling wood at that point and going deeper into it. But we will be touching on it today. But you'll be able to tune into that also on YouTube. So I think I'm just going to settle in and start channeling, essentially. So give me 1 sec. The first message coming through from Anandamayi Ma is one of a sense of witnessing of your efforts, witnessing of your focus, and a sense of appreciation for your work, appreciation for your enthusiasm, for your desire for and connection to your own evolution and to your own growth. Lots of folks are putting in their elbow grease and rolling up their sleeves and really doing some really big work. And she says it makes a difference. And in that sense, folks have met the water energy in the river form and have surrendered to its flow and gone on the journey. So she's saying now it's a time to appreciate all that effort, to really acknowledge with compassion what your journey's been in the last few months, and to really have a sense of appreciation, a sense of validation coming from your own self, like to really appreciate a level of self-validation. You know what you've been doing. You know the efforts. So it's really coming in with a sense of a tap on the back and a sense of gratitude for that and for your ability to really navigate all the twists and turns of that river in the last few months. So for some folks, we're back to the topic of addiction, which has kept coming up in the last 3 or so months. And she's saying for some folks, there's still an attachment to either substance or activity or foods that are thwarting your capacity to show up with a clear mind. And without a clear mind, one doesn't have a clear heart. So she said, wherever that's happening for you, wherever there's still a level of attachment where these particular habits are still kicking around, she's saying the energy moving forward with spring will amplify. She says it's really this, what we're hoping is that with this river energy and as we move into the wood, that you can really, without that kind of element coming in and disrupting the energy, that you really just simply enjoy that feeling of the sap rising to the sun in terms of effortless effort. To start experiencing that kind of energy and that kind of flow and that kind of momentum that carries you rather than you carrying a burden. Yeah, because she's saying what is right there available to you right now is a buoyancy. She says this river going into spring has really created a momentum, and the momentum is going to continue. But the momentum is more that feeling of that sap that rises without effort, that is simply attracted to the light, attracted to the sun, and for the whole tree to start producing its baby leaves and emerging into the blooms and the blossoms of spring. She says we're really trying to help you remember what it's like to actually, like the joy of being incarnated in a human body, basically. Because there's been, right, a lot of stories that have created a sense of burden, of weight, of perpetual crisis, or right, stories that have amplified the sense of life being hard and life being a challenge and life being some sort of competition, or right, that there's all that level of construct. And she says all of that are actually an expression of imbalance rather than harmony. So harmony itself is effortless, and harmony itself is the actual logic of the life force itself. So she says we've spent a lot of time over the last few centuries sort of blaming life for the mess that we are actually creating when we're in a state of disharmony, whether it's for ourselves, for our families, our communities, our nations, and our continents and whatnot. So she says, you know, that's giving a bad rap to life itself, when in fact, what humans are looking at are the consequences of their own misguided actions. Interesting, because she's saying that's actually a very manipulative construct, that if you keep saying that life is hard, people feel they need protection, and people are more vulnerable to dictators and vulnerable to larger corporations, or they're looking for a structure to be safe in, to have shelter against life. So this constant sense of danger and life being hard, and this grasping for shelter, has really robbed us of our personal power and our innate ability to orient ourselves and to create harmony within our own environment, whether we're talking about our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual environments, but then also our environments in terms of home and family and community. So she is talking to me also about, right, the level of distraction that we have in terms of news and being plugged into all sorts of different social media and news outlets in terms of broadcasting news from around the world. And she says what she finds kind of fascinating about that is the people who are the most driven to be informed in that particular way and to be aware of everything that's happening in the world, supposedly, and feel that this is very essential, are often the people that have no idea what's happening in their own marriage, in the lives of their children, in their children's schools, in their own work environments. She's showing me a kind of self-righteousness also that comes in with that particular way of being, like a self-confidence about knowing. And really, they have huge gaps in their knowing and huge gaps, especially in their journey to be in the presence and to be with the energy of wisdom. So she's saying that if we want to see, in a way, all of humanity bloom and all the various nations bloom, and we nonetheless have to start with square one, that our tree is aiming and is appreciating the sun. Our own sap is rising to the sun. We are then blooming and blossoming, and with it, we are encouraging all the trees directly around us to blossom. And the expansiveness of that impact in terms of forests, further and further away from us, comes from nonetheless starting at square one. So there's just a profound appreciation here for the fact that when we blossom, when we align with that journey and we experience joy, that joy is what will spread in the world. So she's saying, knowing all the facts about other nations and getting really, really bogged down with information that doesn't necessarily very directly relate to your own genius and to your own potency, actually reduces your potency to make change and to bring joy in the world rather than increase it. So when she's talking about addiction and substances and foods, she's also talking about what you're putting in your mind, right? Essentially, that's what she's coming to, is to really be aware of what kind of information, where you're accessing the information from, what are the sources, so that you're getting a sense of the weather vanes around the world, but that you're taking them in very consciously and very respectfully, in the sense that it's respectful for your hearts and for other people's experience, so that whatever you're taking in opens your heart rather than closes it by virtue of putting you in a state of panic or fear or into survival mode, and then back to this whole sense of the world is a dangerous place and we need to create safety. We need to create harmony. But while we're running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to create safety, we're actually making really wrong decisions. And if you think of every war is started by a naming of an enemy and focusing people on one enemy. And then the next thing you know is you have war, or you have the most profound disharmony ever. That's not how you get to harmony. Right? So harmony is really, right, if we're going to create it in our lives and in our subtle bodies, but also in the environments that we're directly in touch with, and then via our genius and our quote unquote careers and service, you know, how we impact on a broader level. She's saying the more you can touch that joy within your heart, the more you're going to be profoundly oriented, and the more you're going to be more profoundly effective. Joy is not irresponsible. It's the opposite. So if you're thinking this spring and you're having fantasies of your garden and you're starting to think, this year I think I want more blue, or whatever, like whatever it is that, right, that you're, as spring is emerging, and the weather is getting warmer, and you think, oh my God, I can get back on my bike, I can do this, I can do that. She's saying, go for it, right? Like, let that enthusiasm come forward and let that joy be the driving engine of your life, so that then everything becomes informed, right? And are you thinking as a family this year, right, we're gonna all get new mountain bikes and we're gonna do this thing, or we're gonna go hiking, or right, whatever you're doing within your friendships, within your families and your extended families and your communities, right? Let that come in. And she says, from those connections and from that joy and from that sharing, the energy will, you know, like she's showing me like a pebble in a pond. When you're feeling joy in your own pod and you're realizing this level of harmony, there's a level of expansion that's going to occur. And the sense of how you're there to help others beyond the ones that you're related to or that you're in community with will come about. The opportunities to make a difference in all sorts of environments will emerge. Because she says these opportunities to help others come from people joining forces and coming together. So you need to first come together and learn how to be together in your own environment and with the ones close to you. Once you understand how to do that, you will gain skills and you will make connections. And the next thing you know, you're going to be involved with this community group, and then you can also do that march to support this. And, you know, it will emerge, because she says when people's hearts are open and they're together with open hearts, the sense of possibility and the sense of the opportunities to get involved with other folks who are in a heart-centered consciousness will, the word naturally, will naturally emerge. Just like a tree will from the blossoms, we will then have fruit. And she's saying that what happens too when you're connecting in groups like this and you're taking the time to experience joy, she says that in this kind of environment it's very, it's a fertile environment for you and your genius to be validated. People will see you for who you really are, and will, at some point, she says, they will express that to you. They're going to be healthy mirrors for you. And they'll be showing you your own light. Because they're going to be saying thank you. They're going to be appreciating what you're offering them. And they're going to then often say, you know, have you ever thought of doing this? Or do you see that about yourself? Like how you could be, you're so good at that. You know, so she says that all of that will come back and will give you a sense, you'll gain profound knowledge about yourself. And then by virtue of that, right, a reflection of your genius, of the archetypes, and all the beautiful aspects of you that are shining. And they're going to have ideas that maybe you don't have about what your potential is. You're more likely to go to bed with that profound sense of love, which will include self-love, and will include a profound sense of gratitude for the sacred tree and the sacred being that you are, and this beautiful moment and opportunity that you have in this particular incarnation. So she says what you're doing when you're cultivating joy within yourself and opportunities to experience joy with others is your eyes are turned on to beauty. You will see the beauty of the environment, you will see the beauty of others, and you will see the beauty within yourself. And so there's this amazing sense of how potent that is. And then, of course, that makes sense that that kind of ecology creates the ecology that allows for a forest to really thrive. She's reminding me of one of the analogies that I have when looking at people, at children, how I tend to see that there's light bulbs that are on and then there's light bulbs that are off. And let's say I'm working with a child, right? The light bulbs off have been labeled ADHD, or they come with all kinds of, right, acronyms and names and diagnoses. And meanwhile, there's not enough acknowledgement, right, of the light bulbs that are on, so that you are then appreciating that for those light bulbs to be functioning, right, these are the archetypes and the genius that each person has. Inherently, light bulbs have to be off. That's what makes all our gifts and our genius so unique. Is it's a very particular combination of light bulbs that are on, which means inherently there are light bulbs that are off. And we are having a habit of focusing on the light bulbs that are off rather than looking at the light bulbs that are on. And she says that's true then at a larger systemic level with our media, is we keep our version of being informed is knowing where the light bulbs are off. So just letting that shift in you to see to what level that's become a systemic imbalance, and that it has serious consequences at personal level, in your family, in your communities, and nations, and the geopolitical climate around the world. And she says we need to be, she's saying we got to be active about this. So She's showing me a particular biodynamic farm that I quite admire in India. And she's saying, well, you need to get on there and, you know, and do what you need to do to encourage that. You know, like she says, what we have in our hearts, where we think an organization is doing well, it's like, get involved, do something, make a difference. And she's saying the more we do that and honor, right, the inactive ways where we have a sense of that admiration and respect and feeling like these people are doing really good work and important work, she says what will happen is you will gain a sense of empowerment and hope and know that there can be a momentum towards powerful, powerful change to occur on the planet so that disenfranchised people, disenfranchised nature will get the support they need. So she says this spring, really, since we're not going to go through the bark cracking part of spring, because we did that during winter, we're moving into the blossoms. She says, celebrate your blossoms, enjoy and feel the joy of your blossoms, and enjoy the blossoms of the people around you, and then extend out to organizations and to people that are making a difference and are blossoming in ways that you can say, I see you and I can help you in this way or that way. So she says all that time where you're actually going to be looking for ways to encourage yourself and encourage others, you're not going to be wringing your hands in worry and thinking everything's going to hell in a handbasket. So she's saying this spring, the key word is participate. Participate. So when we honor the light bulbs in ourselves that are on, we end up participating in life. And if we honor the light bulbs in other people and other organizations and what have you, we are participating. And she's saying you can and will make a difference. And she's, to conclude, saying, let's make joy contagious rather than fear each day. And she's saying it's the most responsible thing you can do. It's what will make the most difference and what will nourish the energy and support the energy of transformation and change and healing and peace in the world. Big hugs to you all. May we all create beautiful opportunities to celebrate. And I very much look forward to being in Toronto and celebrating with you. For those of you in Toronto, please come. Let's have a wonderful gathering. And I'll be coming to Toronto more often, I think, also. So it's just the beginning of a new era for me, too, of embracing the opportunity to be in community in person and acknowledging communities also and folks that I work with in other countries and situations and cities as well. So thank you. And my God, let's go out and do the joy thing. Blessings.